I'm Brenda Caldwell, aka Dr. B. Welcome to the Hope Zone, moving you from a place of hopelessness and brokenness to a place of healing and wholeness, a place where hope is alive to bring you more peace, more joy, more freedom, and more understanding of your God-given purpose. Let's enter the Hope Zone. Hi there, Hope family. Welcome in to the Hope Zone. You've just entered the Hope Zone with me, Brenda Caldwell, aka Dr. B. I am the ambassador of hope, the hopeologist, and hope on two legs. And I'm just so excited about being with you. And today, as we prepare for episode number 4, let me just first give a thank you. I just want to say thank you so much. For those of you who've been sharing my brand new podcast, The Hope Zone, and telling people about it, listen, you have very much blessed my soul. I can so tell you, because I just know that God has put it in my heart to put hope in the earth and to use my voice in a way that does just that, because the Hope Zone is all about giving you hope for every situation. So I am so thankful and so excited. And I would like to ask you to continue to share the Hope Zone with someone. As you begin to listen today, if it comes to you, oh my God, my friend needs to hear this message. Would you please share it? I'd love for you to also share it on YouTube, my brand new YouTube page. I'd love for you to go there and subscribe to my YouTube page so that you can get the podcast when it comes, so you can see it. And for those of y'all who would prefer to listen, again, certainly would love for you to subscribe and listen, leave a review. All of that really helps the podcast, of course, as you know. But for me, I'm not doing this to try to, get a whole bunch of people or try to have 1 million followers. That's truly not my focus. My focus is getting this message of hope, the Hope Zone, into as many people's hearts and eyes to see it, to watch it, to hear it as God would deem it, because our world needs hope. And so I'm on a mission to snatch people out of hopelessness, to snatch somebody out of suicidal thoughts, to snatch someone out of depression, to snatch someone out of a life of mediocrity, so that they can walk in their calling and their purpose. So as you share the Hope Zone, you certainly are doing that. And I just want to say thank you. With that being said, it is time to share episode number 4. Episode number 4, this is what we're talking about today. It's going to be a part 1 and part 2, my first series, if you will. So today we're talking about baggage check. Unpacking the lies that we believe. Baggage check. Unpacking the lies that we believe. And in order to unpack the lies that we believe, what we've got to do is realize, let's take some inventory on the lies that we are actually carrying. So we talk about, why is this so important? It's so important to talk about the lies that we're carrying, because if we don't, we're going to stay stuck and never become the people that God created us to be, and to walk in our purpose and walk in our destiny and make the profound difference in the earth, just being the people that we were created to be able to do so. And so it is so important that we unpack these lies that we've believed. And I'm talking to you because I want you to get really honest. As I break down what a stronghold is, you're going to be thinking, ooh, that's me. Ooh, that's me. So get ready to say ouch. Get ready to say amen. Get ready to clap. Come on. Get ready to say, ooh, that's me, and I want to be free. So when we talk about a stronghold, again, a stronghold is believing a lie, and, are you with me, allowing that lie to control your life. When you have a stronghold, it means that you believe something that's not true, but because you believe it, it controls your life. So let's explain. Let's give some examples of what a stronghold would be. Again, we're talking about unpacking the lies that we have believed. So examples of strongholds would be having fear. Fear can be a stronghold. because fear can, as you absolutely know, fear can paralyze you. Fear can keep you from ever pursuing what you were supposed to do. Fear can keep you from applying for a job. Fear can keep you really, literally stuck in your life. Fear manifests in so many ways, but fear is a stronghold because you're believing something that's not true, and it keeps you from moving. Fear is a type of stronghold that we believe. Another type of stronghold is control. Having a need to be in control, having a need to be in control of everything. Is that you? Do you have to control everything? Do you have to know everything in order for you to make a move? Come on. Sometimes we have built a fortress around ourselves in such a way that we have to control everything. And so that need to be controlling is a type of stronghold because it affects your thinking and it makes you feel that you have to absolutely be in control of everything. And so another type of stronghold would be doubt. Doubt is a stronghold, makes you suspicious of everything, and doubt everything keeps you from having confidence. In fact, suspicion is a stronghold as well. There's a lot of type of strongholds. I'm going to talk about some more serious strongholds here in a moment. One of them is anger. Anger, when you believe that you have a right to be angry about something, and it affects your attitude, it affects your feelings, it affects your actions, it affects what you do and what you don't do. Anger is a stronghold. And unforgiveness is also a stronghold. Why? Because you feel, again, that you have a right to be angry, to hold unforgiveness, to be mad, to have bitterness, and all those things. Again, that's a type of thinking. And what it does is it keeps you in bondage to a lie. And so I want us to get free. I want you to get free. I want you to get free. Free is a powerful thing to be. Yes, it is. So when we talk about carrying these lies, sometimes again we have these strongholds because of things that have happened in our past, such as holding abandonment issues. If your mother left you, if your father left you, if you didn't have a good father to raise you, or again, wasn't raised properly by mom, it can cause you to have abandonment issues. But not only in those relationships, but you can have abandonment issues if you were dumped by someone, if you had an ex that abandoned the relationship. It could be a friend that didn't want to be friends anymore, and that person could leave you, if you will, feeling abandoned. And so when you have these abandonment issues, it causes you to put a wall up around your heart. And so what happens is you're believing a lie that says to you, everyone who comes into your life is going to hurt you. Everybody's going to come into your life is going to treat you like the people from the past. They're going to leave you. Your dad left, so they're going to leave. Your mom left, they're going to leave you. So that happens all the time, and it puts so many of us in bondage that keeps us from living happy, healthy, whole lives. And God's will is for us to be happy, to be healthy, and to be whole. It truly is. So again, we're talking about how we carry these lives that keep us in bondage to our past. Another one is rejection, a very common stronghold that we have, a common emotion or issue that a lot of people struggle with is rejection. Again, comes from past hurts that you've had in your life that make you feel rejected, that cause you to feel that every relationship that you're going to be in, somehow you're going to end up hurt. And that does not have to be the case. And how does that lie affect you? How does carrying the stronghold or the spirit of rejection, how does that affect you? It will keep you so bound. You will not allow people the chance to even love you. You won't allow people the chance to get to really know you. And that's why a lot of times what happens when we're dealing with a spirit of rejection, it causes you to think that people are, talking about you, or that people don't like you. It can cause you, again, to just really be in bondage when you are believing that lie that you are rejected. And so, again, we're talking about how we believe these lies, we're carrying these lies, and how these lies really affect us. Bag is checked. baggage check. That's what we're doing today. We're doing a baggage check because we all need to have a checkup from the neck up, don't we? We need to check our heart. We need to check our mindset. We need to check the way that we think so that we do not give people power over our lives. This is so important. It's so important because it's just so much bondage that comes from being, if you will, just bound to what people, if you will, think about you. So we're talking about lies. So in speaking of people, oh my goodness, let's talk about people pleasing. Do you deal with people pleasing? Now get honest. Get honest. Is it hard for you to say no to people without feeling guilty? You always feel like you have to come up with some reason, some excuse to not do something that someone wants you to do. That's people pleasing. Do you change based on what you think a person needs from you or wants from you? Or do you find yourself having to act like everybody else in order to fit in with your friends? Are you afraid to share your real opinion? Are you afraid to speak up in certain relationships because you feel like somebody's going to reject you? Let me tell you, carrying the lie of being carrying people pleasing as a stronghold is so much bondage. It just really is. So many people. Now, again, let me put my therapy hat on for a minute. I'm a clinical therapist. So during the day, that's what I do, work with clients and help people get free from those past issues that have been struggles for them. And so many people struggle with this issue, this notion of people pleasing. And people pleasing can play itself out in so many ways. But to be a people pleaser is to be what I call having the chameleon complex. Let me explain. The chameleon complex. A chameleon is that specialized lizard, a lizard that is able to change colors to fit into any environment, to be able to adapt into an environment in order for that lizard to survive in the wilderness or survive in nature, if you will. That's what a chameleon lizard can do. It knows how to change. It knows how to change its colors. It knows how to adapt. And it does it so well, but it's always masquerading. It's always pretty much having to be a facade. It can't be its true self. In the same way, when we're caught up in people pleasing, when we're bound by what people think of us, and we are so afraid to do something because people, your friend, your mama, your daddy, your cousin, a co-worker, somebody in your life, what maybe your church member may say, maybe what your pastor may say, when we're caught up in people pleasing, we lose ourselves. You're afraid to be who you really are, afraid to speak up, afraid to let your true feelings out, right? Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt like you just can't be honest about your feelings because that person is going to maybe, be mad at you. Maybe they'll stop speaking to you, or maybe they won't hear you or receive you. And so you always agree with everything your friend says because you don't feel that you can be honest and just be your real self. That's people pleasing. Do you have a hard time saying no to things that you just don't want to do? You have people in your life that want you to, whatever it might be, you don't want to do that. Whether it's wanting to go out to a club, well, you're past your club days. You don't want to do that, but I don't want to make so-and-so mad. I want to let them know, I'm still, I want to, be in. I don't want to think that I'm so holy. So I'll just go ahead and go to the club. No, you don't have to. But when you have a lie, a stronghold over you of low self-worth, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, when you don't know your worth, when you don't know that you have a right, come on, to be able to say no without feeling guilty, then you give in to the pressure. You give in to the lie that you have to people please in order to be accepted, in order to be liked. So you become like any environment that you're in. Oh my, that is unhealthy. And that is not God. That's not God. God created us to be individuals. He created every human being to be a unique, one of a kind, unrepeatable miracle. And so none of us are better than anyone else. We're not less than anyone else, but we certainly should not be bound to people pleasing. And you know who, this is what I always say, that the greatest thing that you can be delivered from, the greatest thing is not drugs, it's not alcohol, it's not any other kind of addiction. The greatest thing that I believe any person can ever be delivered from is to be delivered from people. Yes, people put more stress on us than anybody else. People. Just think about it. It's people that stress you out. You know, if it's a job stressing you, it's because there are some people on the job. Are you with me? If you're being stressed in a marriage, that's because that spouse, are you with me? A person is putting some stress, bringing stress into your life. People. And what I say about people is this: as human beings, we are fallen, fallible, fickle, and finite. Did you hear that? Fallen, fallible, fickle, finite people. That simply means every human being, we're so imperfectly, we are perfectly made, but we are humanly flawed. We're perfectly made in the image of God, but we are so humanly flawed that we can judge each other, criticize each other, condemn each other, lie to each other, lie on each other in such a way that we put ourselves, we allow people to put us in bondage. People. And so to get free from people pleasing, you've got to be able to be honest. What you're hearing is, are you going to be honest? If you know that you've been caught up in people pleasing, if you know that you have a hard time saying no to people, if you know that you really struggle with just really being yourself, and you do have a need to be affirmed, if you do have a need to be so accepted that you have done things that you didn't want to do, if you know that, then again, be honest with yourself and say, that's me. Just say that's me. If you know that's you, just say it. I've done it. And that's the human nature. The only way we can heal, and I tell all of my counselees this: God can't heal until you get real. When you get real, God can heal, and I'm willing to be a vessel. So me doing this podcast, The Hope Zone, where there's hope for every situation, is so that as you listen, you hear something that stirs you up, that strikes you, that challenges you, that maybe convicts you. Are you with me? So that you can get converted. Because the best thing that we want to do is get free from people. You know what I want you to stop and do? I want you to stop and say this right now. Say, I have made up my mind. Ooh, I believe you just said it. I have made up my mind that I am getting free from people. It just sounds good. Say this. Say, I am being delivered from people. It just sounds powerful coming out of your mouth. Again, we're talking about unpacking the baggage, unpacking the lies that we've carried. This is part one. This is all about being able to get free, to walk in your worth and become that person that you were born to be. That's what you're going to get every time you participate here in the Hope Zone. So let's move on. I want you to get this one as well. Another way in which we carry lies is, now this is a big one because I need for you to get this, I need you to understand, is again tied to a stronghold, is believing the lie that you have a right to not like yourself, to be disgusted with yourself, to hate yourself, to criticize yourself, to put yourself down. You have no right to do so. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you your worst critic? Now, be honest. Are you your worst critic? Do you put yourself down before anyone else does? Do you have a hard time accepting compliments? Do you struggle with coming up with positive things? If I said, I want you to get a piece of paper right now and write down 7 positive things that you love about yourself, really love about yourself, like about yourself, appreciate about yourself. Would that be a struggle for you? If it would, if that would be a struggle, then that means that you are believing a lie that you have a right to dislike yourself. I'm excited about sharing a new book that I am releasing that will be out in June. So I will be talking about this new book real soon with you. And in this book, I'm going to be really teaching, really inspiring, really giving some empowerment on a very powerful topic. Y'all got to stay tuned. Woo, you're gonna love it. I'm enjoying this journey and this process, and I'm grateful to God. But one of the things that I'm talking about in this book is about how we have no right to dislike ourselves, to not love ourselves, and not value ourselves. It is a sin. I need for you to hear this. It is a sin to hate yourself. It is a sin to criticize yourself. It is a sin to dislike yourself. It is a sin to put yourself down. Why? Because sin is any action, thoughts, behaviors, or beliefs that disconnect our fellowship with God. It breaks our fellowship with God. See, when we think of sin, we think of committing adultery. Yes, that's a sin. Committing murder. Yes, that's a sin. Those are sins. Those are. But this is a sin of omission, because you did not mean to. You don't mean to break your fellowship with God. And so it doesn't mean that God doesn't love us. God always loves us. But when we commit certain acts, like in our thoughts or in our words, and things that we do, we're the ones who break the fellowship. And so when you say, I don't like myself, oh girl, God, I'm just I'm just stupid. Honey, I'm just, and if you struggle, you can't find any way to affirm yourself, that is a sin. And you have no right. That is a lie that you've been carrying. That is a lie. And if this is not you, it's somebody that you know. Many of us struggle. So many women in particular struggle with being able to receive a basic compliment. You tell the average woman her hair looks good. The first thing we want to say is, oh, honey, no, I've got to go to the beauty shop. Oh, honey, I've got to get my hair done. What are you talking about? I'm always correcting when I hear that. So are you saying that I don't have good judgment? And it stops them in their track, okay? Because they're not used to being able to receive. We have to become people that are not our worst critic. Learn to become your best friend. Did you hear that? Stop being your worst critic. Start being your best friend. The most important thing is to know it's a lie to believe that you have a right to put yourself down or to criticize yourself. God took the time to fashion, make, mold, and design you as a master artist, master sculptor. He divinely created you. And to say that you don't like something about yourself is literally saying to God, God, you blew it. You made a mistake. I don't like your work, God. Can you imagine telling God, God, I don't like your work. In fact, God, I hate your work. Greatest creation of God, of all the things that he ever created, the greatest is man, us, me, and you. So are you feeling that right now? Are you getting that? That you have no right. I want you to really receive that. No right. So I want you to say this out of your mouth. Say this. Words have so much power. That's why I teach so much on words. Say, it's true. I have no right to criticize myself. I have no right to put myself down. I have no right not to like anything about myself. So I want you to say this now. So I've made up my mind that I am choosing to embrace liking, loving, appreciating, and respecting me. I just planted a seed with you. Just planted the seed. Words are so powerful. Just by you saying it, it's going to make you conscious about how you think about yourself and what you say about yourself. But it's been a lie that you've been carrying. We're talking about unpacking the lie. Come on. We're talking about how we've been carrying these lies. We're going to unpack them. And next week, we're going to take it to a whole nother level. Are you with me? And so now we want to talk about, since we don't have a right to not like ourselves. We know that now. We don't have a right to hate ourselves. We don't have a right to criticize ourselves. We don't have a right to put ourselves down. We don't have a right to harbor any kind of wrong emotions or wrong feelings toward ourselves. Well, likewise, got to tell you this, one of the other lies that we've been carrying, some of you, somebody who's listening, somebody's watching right now or listening to me right now, realize you also have no right to harbor hatred, bitterness, anger, or unforgiveness toward anyone else, anyone in your life, anyone. Doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter what they've done. You have no right to harbor unforgiveness. Woo, wait a minute, Dr. B. Now that's kind of, wait a minute. You don't know what they did. You don't know what someone said. You don't know how they treated me. I don't know. But God does. That's why he made provision for you to walk in freedom and healing when someone has done something to you. It's called forgiveness. Forgiveness. A powerful word. Forgive. When you choose to forgive, you choose to be free. What? Forgive. When you choose to forgive, you choose to be free. Anybody who knows the work of Dr. B knows I teach on forgiveness quite a lot. I have a book called Surgery for the Soul, Healing for the Hurting Heart. It's on Amazon. Love for you to get it. It's a book that literally step by step walks you through those steps of being able to learn how to how to forgive, how to let go, how to heal from past hurt, because it is a lie that you have the right to carry that baggage and carry that hurt. It's heavy carrying bitterness. It's heavy. You know what bitterness does? Bitterness causes rottenness of the bones. It does. Bitterness causes autoimmune diseases. Bitterness causes people to have higher blood pressure. Bitterness is serious. It is serious. And when you're carrying that bitterness, literally, you are believing that you have a right to harbor wrong feelings, wrong emotions towards someone, and you don't. And it's a lie, and it's a lie that can be deadly in your life. And so the Bible says it so clearly. And I'm going to do a whole series on forgiveness. I promise you, I'm just dropping a nugget off today because we're talking about unpacking lies that we have believed, and we need to unpack these lies so that we can walk in freedom. And I can't skirt over this, and that's why I have to drop this off. Simply that forgiveness is choosing to when you forgive, you're choosing to free someone, to pardon someone, to release someone from an offense that they've committed against you, some sin that they've committed against you, some wrongdoing they've committed against you. And what makes it possible to do that is when you humble yourself and put yourself on the same level as a person who has hurt you. And what happens is when you're able to do that, then you're able to realize, well, you know what? I've needed to be forgiven. I've caused someone hurt. I have done something wrong. And we all have fallen short, no matter how big or how small we think it may be in our eyes. We all have the need to be forgiven. We want to be forgiven. We want to feel that release when we have wronged someone. And the most powerful thing is to understand that we are commanded to give away the same gift that Jesus died for all of us to be able to receive. So I can't skirt over this one. I got to do it a little bit more justice by telling you the most powerful thing that you can do to set yourself free is to choose to truly forgive. And again, we're going to go into more detail. Keep listening to the Hope Zone. I will have a whole series on it, but it's a lie that we carry when we think that we have some right to hold on to it, some right to carry unforgiveness and hatred and bitterness. I want to drop that off to you because that is a word. Did that help you? Did it help you? Listen, it may be hard to hear, but it's also freeing when you realize, you know what? I don't want anybody having me in bondage. I don't want anybody having that power over me. Could you imagine going to your local jail cell, literally going to the local jail and saying, you know, every day at 6 o'clock, do y'all have a jail here, a jail cell? I'm really looking to I want to lock myself up in a jail cell. And I just wanted to know if you all could rent me a jail cell. Okay, they're going to look at you and they're probably going to direct you to a whole nother facility. Hello, are you with me? Because no one in their right mind wants to be locked up. But that's what it's like when you hold on to hatred, anger, unforgiveness, and bitterness. You're giving somebody the power to put you in prison. But more than anything, you're putting yourself in that. And so we do want to get free of that. And the reason that we need to do so is because it is in the Word of God more than anything. All right. So want to say that to you. And another way in which we carry lies, we're talking about carrying lies and want to get free from these lies that we carry. It's so important to realize that sometimes we are allowing ourselves to carry lies because we allow things that have happened in our past to define us. Things that you may have done that you may be ashamed of, or perhaps you regret, you carry that as a lie to define you in some way. For instance, maybe you've been divorced. Maybe you've been divorced even more than once. And for some people who've been divorced, they carry it as a stigma. They carry it as, you know, even though divorce rate is very high, again, you know, when you get married, you're truthfully trying to get married. Most people want to get married for life. And you feel that you're going to be married for life, and then something happens, a spouse cheats on you, and you decide to get a divorce, or you know you mess up in the marriage, and your spouse divorces you, or you don't mess up, and they just want to be single, and they divorce you. So however way it found, you find yourself divorced. So sometimes you can find yourself feeling like, you know, you are some reject. That's a lie, but you can carry that and you know, and make, you know, feel like you are, you know, you can never get married again or find love again, or that you are not just enough. You're not just enough and being whole. And so it's so important to understand we carry these stigmas. We allow life circumstances to define us. Another thing that I want to say to somebody who is single, never been married. And so we live in a society that causes us to feel that unless you know, are in some relationship, something is wrong with you. You just can't be single and happy and love life and be enough. No, you've got to be in a relationship. So if you don't know your worth as a single person, you will feel like something is wrong with being single. You won't feel that, you know, that you can just enjoy your life. You feel like you are missing something. You're missing out on something. And if you don't know your value and don't know that you are enough, what will happen is you'll end up settling for some unhealthy relationship, toxic relationship, some good for nothing relationship, and some relationship that ends up doing what? Nothing more than breaking your heart, taking a piece away from you. Are you with me? And that you may never, ever get back. And so again, it's a lie, though. It all comes from the mindset. And so if you're carrying a lie that something is wrong with you just because you're single and never been married, then again, that is bondage. Baggage check. We're checking baggage. We're checking baggage. We're carrying lies. We need to let these lies go. Are you with me? Another situation could be for somebody having had an abortion. Again, having counseled with so many women, it is a major struggle of self-hate, self-rejection, guilt, shame, condemnation that can arise from having had an abortion. Even though in the biblical sense, technically, abortion would be considered a murder because it would be aborting a life, not allowing that life to come into the world. Grace and mercy does enter in. Even though it was a sin, there's grace and mercy that enters in. And that is so important for somebody to hear right now. If this is not you, it may be for your friend, it may be for somebody that you know, or it may just be for you. It's important to understand whether it's abortion, whether it's having had an affair, whether it has been you did something that something that you've carried a regret for, a shame for, whatever it may be. Just know it is a lie that you cannot be forgiven. It's a lie to carry this on your weighting you down, weighting you, oppressing you, stressing you, in such a way that you can't walk in the freedom. So again, whatever it may be, from any kind of sin, it's important to know it is a lie that you have to carry that sin, carry that shame, carry that guilt, and carry that condemnation for the rest of your life. If you have to carry it, it was no reason for Jesus to ever even come into the earth. It is so important to know that once you ask for forgiveness, that sin is placed under the blood. But if you don't know that, you'll carry that lie forever. So I want to say that to you, because it's so important to understand we carry these lies, and these lies can absolutely weigh us down and keep us from walking in freedom. Another one would be just the lie of having been, what we may carry from having been molested or raped. Again, that's a life circumstance that was unfortunate. You never deserved it. You should not ever have experienced such a dishonoring of your body. But to understand that does not define you. Being raped, being molested, being abused physically, being verbally abused, mentally abused, whatever type of abuse you may have ever experienced in your life, it was not deserved. It was not God's will. It is not for you to carry the rest of your life, and only God can turn it around and bring good from it. But the most important thing is to understand is that it is a lie, that it is what defines you. It is not what defines you. It's something that happened and occurred in your life, but you still have value, still have purpose, you still have worth. I know I'm talking to somebody on this one. Somebody. It's so important to understand. And I want you to understand, don't allow life circumstances to define you in such a way that it destroys your ability to have self-confidence and self-worth and self-esteem. Another one is being overweight. In our country, we talk so much about weight issues and things. And so if you're a person that's overweight, or if you're a person that's really underweight, we don't talk about people being more underweight, we more so talk about overweight. But if your body, if you will, is not pleasing to you, if you feel like you're overweight or what have you, it is a lie that can get you to settle sometimes, because in particular, women who tend to be overweight, a lot of times, if they don't know their value and don't know their worth, will end up settling for unhealthy relationships and relationships where you feel that you've got to, again, people please in order to be accepted, and people please in order to keep this person in your life. That's not healthy. That's not good. And that's not God. I need to repeat that. That's not healthy. That's not good. And that's not God. Okay. It doesn't matter what your weight is. You have value. You are not your weight. That's so important. You're not your weight. You're not your weight. And so don't buy the lie that you have to settle in order to be loved, that you have to be a chameleon. Are you with me? That you've got to be everything to everybody, and you got to, just settle and do everything so somebody can like you, somebody can accept you, and so forth. If you're the biggest person in your friend group, be okay with that. Be okay with that, because who you are is not your weight. Are you with me? That's why I always talk about the importance of focusing on losing the weights, before you deal with losing physical weight. We need to deal with mental weight that we carry, shame, low self-worth, low self-esteem, different issues that we may be carrying on the inside that's really more weighty than the weight on the outside. Are you with me? And so I'm going to close out with one last important focus. This focus, I decree and declare, is going to help somebody make a decision who just might be listening, or again, for you to share this podcast with someone who you know needs to hear this information. I want to talk about 5 reasons that people stay in unhealthy relationships. 5 reasons that people will stay in unhealthy relationships based on lies that they believe. Let's just see. I'm going to actually go to refer to my book, Surgery for the Soul. I want to talk about unhealthy relationships are ones that are in some form physical abuse, verbal abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and even spiritual abuse. Signs of an unhealthy relationship include issues like control, anger, manipulation, blaming, shaming, codependency, and neediness. These are all factors or descriptions, if you will, of a unhealthy relationship, ways to know that a relationship is unhealthy. And again, you don't know your worth, you don't know your value, you end up settling for one of these unhealthy relationships, and it can be dangerous even to your life and just unhealthy all the way around. So I want to go through these before I close out to help somebody today. First, the first reason that we would stay in an unhealthy relationship would be feelings of unworthiness. Feeling of unworthiness. When you don't know your worth and don't know your value, and you haven't found a way to accept, honor, love, and respect yourself as a creation of God, what will happen is you will let other people treat you poorly. You let people treat you bad when you don't know your own value. When you don't love yourself, people will treat you in that way because they know that you don't love yourself. And so what happens is it's important to know that because deep down, you believe that this is normal. I want to make sure that I go over that. It says you will find yourself settling for relationships that only tolerate you rather than celebrate you. Why? Because deep down, you believe this is normal. That's unhealthy. You believe that you deserve it, and thus you find yourself staying in an unhealthy relationship. An example of this is being a seeker, someone who is searching for love and acceptance in all the wrong ways and all the wrong places, finding yourself being easily taken advantage of. If you've never felt loved, if you didn't grow up in a loving atmosphere, in a loving relationship, if parents didn't validate you and give you that foundation that helped you to feel a sense of worthiness, it's easy to fall into that. And again, find yourself in an unhealthy relationship. Number 2 is misconceptions about what love is. Having those misconceptions really about what love is. And so I want to read from 1 Corinthians 13. This is the love chapter. Verse 4 through 7 says, love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it doesn't boast, it's not proud, it doesn't seek to dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but love rejoices with truth. Love always protects, always trusts, always hopes. Love always perseveres. That is a beautiful, beautiful description of love. But as powerful as this description of love is, when your foundation for love, when you don't have that foundation for love, and you don't know what true love looks like, it gets skewed. It can be skewed by past treatment. And it makes it difficult to expect love from other people. You may even forget that love doesn't abuse, and love doesn't hurt, and love doesn't shame, and love doesn't blame, and love doesn't condemn, and love doesn't control. And so then you may find yourself staying in an unhealthy relationship, staying in some unhealthy relationship and finding yourself settling. You do not want to settle for some unhealthy relationship. There's a story that I heard about 2 months ago. And the person shared with me that a friend of hers have had a daughter who was in a domestic violence relationship. The mother did not know that her daughter was being physically abused until the day her daughter was killed. The day that her daughter was murdered was the first time that her mother actually found out that this had been going on in her daughter's life. And the sad reality is this: the mother said to my friend that she had never told anyone. She said, I taught her to stay. The mother had been in an abusive relationship. Church member, owned a business, looked successful. On the outside, everything looked great. But on the inside of her home, once a month for 25 years, she had been herself a victim of domestic violence. Her daughter grew up in that. And because her mother allowed her to see that kind of treatment, it affected the daughter to feel that she too had to settle for abuse. Somebody listening to this podcast needs to know that it does not matter if it's one time and one time only once a month or one time ever. If a person puts their hands on you once, they will do it again. Get out, get help, and get out, because it can be dangerous. It's so important to know when we don't know our value and we don't know our worth, we could literally end up missing out on a life that God has designed for us. It's so sad that a 25-year-old daughter would lose her life because her mother modeled for her that it was okay to stay, and she stayed too long. So it's important to know that we have power, but when we believe the lie, we hurt ourselves in the end. We want to unpack these lies so that we can become who God created us to be and not stay in these unhealthy situations. And third one is the dependency upon another person. Emotional dependency is when you are entangled in a relationship with someone who's allowed to control your feelings of happiness. It means that you need the validation and the affirmation of that person to fulfill you. It means that you give your heart to someone who has the power to break it. This is unhealthy. It is unhealthy because, again, it gives people power. Going back to people, it gives people the power to hurt you. And we have to know our own value. We have to find our own voice. We have to know our own worth. And to do so is to be able to make a decision that you deserve to love yourself and to like yourself and appreciate yourself. And if you do, then you won't need anyone else. You won't be depending on someone else to validate you and find yourself in some unhealthy relationship. And it could be an unhealthy relationship with a friend. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a significant other relationship. It can be a relationship with friends. You can end up, again, settling for toxic friends that control you, toxic friends that manipulate you, that guilt you, or in some way mistreat you with words, or feel that it's okay for them to talk any kind of way to you. You have to know your worth. If you begin to realize your worth, you will not settle for those kinds of relationships. Number 4 says no way out. It's another reason we stay in unhealthy relationships. No way out. That means that there are times when we want to leave an unhealthy relationship. We want to have the peace of mind, and we want to live happy, and we want to have a harmonious life. But because of how bad things look, and because the road ahead seems foggy, we feel trapped and we can't seem to find a way out. We can't seem to find the help, the encouragement, the strength, and the courage that we need. So what happens? We give up. We give up and find ourselves staying in an unhealthy relationship. But understand there are sources and there are resources out there for help if you really do want to get out of a serious type of abusive relationship, a toxic relationship, an unhealthy relationship. There are resources out there. You need to talk to somebody and let somebody know. You can start with a friend. You can start with a parent, a relative. Start with a pastor. Start with somebody. Let it be known. But there are resources out there available for you, even on how to break free of these toxic relationships. It's just important to know that if you're believing lies about yourself, if you live with certain lies and mindsets, it causes you to stay in these unhealthy relationships. And number 5, speaking of this, as we prepare to close out, is number 5 is loss of hope. Another reason that we would stay in a abusive relationship, unhealthy relationship, a toxic relationship is that we feel that there's a loss of hope. Toxin from unhealthy relationships poison the heart, the mind, and the soul. In doing so, it can corrupt the core of our faith, belief, and hope that your life will ever get better. With this comes the danger of giving up hope, giving up love, giving up love, giving up yourself, giving up on life. With the agony of defeat looming over you, you may find yourself in a hopeless, unhealthy relationship. And as I prepare to close, you know me, if I'm the ambassador of hope, the hopeologist, hope on 2 legs and all things hope, I'm here to tell you, as long as you're breathing, there's hope. As long as there's breath in your body, there's hope. As long as you are alive and able to get up and look up, there is hope. And so if you want to be free, you can be free. We've been talking today about how to unpack the lies that we believe. We've been doing a baggage check. And as you've heard, you know, some of this is some touchy, serious, sensitive issues. Why? Because we need to talk about these things. We don't talk about these truthfully on Sunday mornings at church. Most of the time, these are not the kind of issues that are addressed. So we want to get healed. And the only way we can get healed, we got to get real. And so in the hope zone, where there's hope for every situation, I want you to know there is hope for you to be delivered and freed in your life from all the lies, any lies, big and small, that have affected your life. This has been a baggage check today, and I pray that it has encouraged you, challenged you, and inspired you to take a look at your life and ask yourself, what lies am I believing? And how have the lies that I've believed affected my life? Man, that's good. Think about it. What lies have you believed that have affected your life? You cannot heal until you get real. If there are some things that you've believed that you realize from listening to today's episode, there's helping you understand that you don't have a right to not like yourself or to hate yourself. You don't have a right to hate or to hold unforgiveness toward anyone. You don't have a right. Are you with me? You do not have a right to allow yourself to be in any kind of unhealthy relationship. No, you want to be able to live the life that Jesus died for you to live. So if that means you've got to make some decisions, do what you got to do so that you can be free. Next week, we're going to conclude with part 2 of this topic. Again, how to unpack the lies and walk in the freedom that God has called you to be. So we'll be talking about goodbye lies and hello truth. Come on, goodbye lies and hello truth. And as I get prepared to wrap up, again, I would certainly appreciate if you would share today's episode with somebody that God puts on your heart. Would you share it with somebody? Share it with your friends. Share it with somebody, because it may not be them. It may be a friend of theirs. We never know. It's about saving somebody's life. For me, the Hope Zone is about saving a life, snatching somebody out of hopelessness and placing somebody on the path to have hope, to have faith, to have joy, and to be able to become the person God created them to be. And that person today is you. I want to thank you so much. I'd love for you to follow me on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube page. I would love for you to do that. Love for you to, again, subscribe to the podcast so that you can get the notice when it comes out. I just appreciate you. I appreciate you as I am starting this new podcast. And to God be the glory for the opportunity to make an impact in somebody's life. I appreciate you. And remember this. I want you to hold on this. On your worst day, your best day, and every day in between, always remember there's a reason to have hope. That means also, just like a piece of rope, hold on to hope. Until next time. I'm so glad you made it to the end of the podcast. If the Hope Zone is making a positive difference in your life, please subscribe to the show so you don't miss the next episode. Leave a review, and most of all, share it with your friends. And remember, from your worst day to your best day, there's hope in every situation.